welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Ciriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there to my actual left is Daniel Kern. How you doing, Daniel?
That's right, Chris. We got the actual left today. We are back on the campus of Springfield College, actually living together for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of actual lefts and actual rights in the next few months.
Yeah, we are back at school where the show originated. Hopefully no early exits this semester like first semester of last year. But yeah, we are officially back together for the show recordings. No more Zoom for a little while. And yeah, it's a good thing, but we got some baseball to talk about. First of all, you know, for the first time in over 2 years, we're having a Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah, it feels weird because, I mean, I remember we were freshmen when Derek Jeter and Larry Walker were inducted, and now we are just starting our junior year, and they're finally about to actually go in.
Right, yeah, and yeah, we were like, it's funny, you know, freshman year, it was, you know, the pandemic wasn't even a thought, and yeah, here we are, finally somewhat out of it, and yeah, we're finally seeing Jeter and Walker and
Ted Simmons and the family of Marvin Miller.
Back going into Cooperstown. So, I mean, where do we start? Where do we start here?
I feel like we should just have like a Marvin Miller appreciation segment because I think not a lot of people understand how much he meant to the history of the game.
Right.
Like, if you were to have like a Mount Rushmore of like most influential people in the history of baseball, like Jackie Robinson's number one. Trying to think. I don't know who else would be there, but like Marvin Miller has a case. I wouldn't know if he's on there, but he has a case.
Yeah. If you do, Mount Rushmore of like.
If you did a Mount Rushmore of non-players, he's probably number one.
Correct.
It's like he and Branch Rickey.
Yeah, because we're talking about the CBA this upcoming year and players getting, you know, player and especially in 2020. When the shortened season was coming up and they were talking about how they were going to pay players, a lot of the reason the players are able to get what they're getting today and are able to advance in the next CBA is because of Marvin Miller.
Yeah. Marvin Miller, I'm pretty sure, is the reason that free agency for players exists, like in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, that's... If not for that, I think guys are just not getting, or would just not be getting what they deserve. Really, because I think it was just like year-by-year contracts.
Yep,
is what they got. There was not a lot of guaranteed money floating around.
Yeah, most transactions were done via trade.
Right.
You know, anytime a guy, you know, I mean, think about it. When we did the history series and we had guys, you know, that played in the pre-Marvin Miller era. Anytime they switched teams, it was like they were traded to this team for whatever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Or they just stayed with the same team for 17 years.
Yeah.
And then that was that. Yeah, I'm trying to see when did when did he really start making changes in Major League Baseball?
I think it was like the 60s.
Marvin Miller, baseball. Yeah, you know, for reference, he's obviously one of the biggest influences of the Players Association. He served as the executive director of the Major League Baseball Players Association from 1966 through 1982. So this is from the MLBplayers.com. transforming the association first into a bona fide labor union, then gradually into one of the strongest collective bargaining units in the United States. And I believe when people talk about like player unions, they always bring up MLB as like the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of someone like Marvin Miller.
It is a damn shame that he is going in posthumously, because really he should have gone in the second he was eligible. I don't know exactly when that was, but I know he passed in 2012, and I know he had multiple go-arounds on the Veterans Era Committee before he eventually got in.
Yeah, and he barely got in this past time. I think it was 12. He got like 12 out of 16 votes.
Yeah, Jesus. Very weird. That committee is mostly made up of players. So maybe that's who it was. Maybe like John Sherholtz was one of the people that was like, nah.
Right.
This guy made my job way too much harder.
Yeah. More from the Players Association. In 1968, Miller led a committee of players that negotiated the first collective bargaining agreement in the history of professional sports. The agreement raised the minimum salary in baseball from $6,000 at the level which it had been stuck for 2 decades to $10,000 to set the tone for future advances. And if I scroll down, there's probably, and yeah, he was one of the people who led strikes in 1972. There's a short week-long strike in 1972, and then there was like a 2-month one in 19...
I wonder why it was only a week.
Yeah.
I bet he got things done quickly.
Yeah, and then 1981 was a longer one, but
still, it was only like 2 months, right?
Yeah, and they were still able to play a World Series.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that progressed players, you know, whether it was easy or not, you know, and got the most whether it had strikes or not. I mean, it progressed the players to what they can get today.
Marvin Miller was a guy who got things done. Like, I think that's just the best, most simple way of putting it.
Yeah, definitely, and you mentioned it, like, you could definitely make the case he was the best out of his job, the best to do his job out of the 4 people going on stage on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, he is like the all-timer of people that did his job in baseball history.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I think we should bring up Derek Jeter. You know, 99.7% of the vote. He's going to be going in. He's going to have his face in the same room as gentlemen like Barry Larkin, Luke Appling, you know, just
Harold Baines.
Guys with just like around 70 B WAR, 70 F WAR.
Yeah.
You know, just legends of the game.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, he'll be getting enough love at Cooperstown.
I cannot wait for that stupid documentary to be over.
Yeah,
that's gonna be insufferable next year.
Oh yeah, that's 2022, right?
Yeah, the Captain. That's what it's gonna be called.
It's gonna be so boring.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to see the parts with like A-Rod. I'd say that. Like, if there's some behind the scenes about the beef that he and A-Rod had,
right?
Like, that would be entertaining.
Oh yeah, and also I think on Twitter there was a viral tweet that was asking like, what athlete would you want to have like a Michael Jordan like thing? And out of baseball,
I would say A-Rod.
Out of baseball,
or Barry Bonds.
I would want one of the steroid guys.
Yes.
Because they actually have an interesting story.
There's very few. I mean, I hate that we're going off on this tangent with Derek Jeter, but like, there's very few like reports about the player's perspective of what steroids did. Like, I know that MLB would love to just forget that ever happened,
right.
30 years later, but it saved the game of baseball, and it brought in a completely new generation of fans that otherwise would have never existed. So, like, I would love to hear from anybody, from McGuire, from Sosa, from Brady Anderson to talk about his 1996 season,
yeah.
From A-Rod, from Barry Bonds, anybody.
Yeah, and players that like, and even like players that kind of got wiped out in the 90s because they didn't use performance enhancing drugs and all that.
I feel like if it's ever going to happen, the time we're going to get it is when the last of the steroid people are eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Which might be a while because A-Rod and Ortiz... I mean, Ortiz is... He never actually tested positive. He was in the Mitchell report, which was... I don't even think that was a test. I think that was like a survey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... But either way, he's going to have steroid allegations linked to him as, just like Barry Bonds. Just all it is allegations linked to him.
Right.
But, but A-Rod, obviously, we know he did steroids. That's not even... There's no debate to be had.
Yeah.
There's no questionable...
Had a 162-game suspension.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a 211-game suspension.
Yeah.
There's no, I think once there's nothing to lose anymore, then we're going to start hearing about how it made guys feel. Like, I don't know, what if Mark McGwire came out and was like, yeah, like, I literally felt like I was 18 again, and I was actually 35.
Yeah, and they didn't even go that in depth with it. Like, that's what Long Gone Summer should have been, but it wasn't really like that.
I'd say the closest we got to that was Screwball.
Yep.
Like, because you had, like, Tony Bosch talking about how Manny Ramirez, like, felt amazing, and A-Rod came to his door being like, I want what Manny has.
Yeah, and that's
from someone else, yeah.
That's a fraction of what is actually out there.
That's from a guy who was already denounced as a fake doctor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and went to jail.
My favorite part of that, he went to jail, came out, and then was like, all right, let's do this documentary.
Yeah.
Like, he spent, like, 4 years or something in prison.
Yeah.
Spent a long time there.
He's just in his head like, all right, let me get my facts straight for this documentary.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, go watch Screwball on Netflix.
Yeah,
Very good.
It's a quality watch. You won't regret it.
Yeah, so Derek Jeter.
Yeah, well, like, that's how exhausted I am from Derek Jeter. We can just go off tangents on other people when talking about him.
Yeah.
But everyone loves him, and if you want to see all the Derek Jeter praise, watch MLB Network, ESPN, all those places because they are very, very fascinated with him. Larry Walker, he's you were very adamant about his case. He got in on his 10th ballot, and someone who definitely one of the more underrated Hall of Famers.
It's a career slash line of 313, 400, 565, 965. Like there's one thing that's been getting a lot of praise lately is players who can in a single season achieve a 300, 400, 500 slash line. Larry Walker did that for his career.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that. And even park adjusted wise, he is still with the greats. As you mentioned, his career OPS plus was the exact same as Chipper Jones, and that's a park adjusted statistic, so it accounts for the Coors Field, and it'll be fun. I wonder if Fergie Jenkins is going to be there, seeing another Canadian.
Yeah.
The second Canadian Hall of Famer. Fergie Jenkins, by the way, great follow on social media. He's just so positive.
You can just tell, like, he just loves the game. He just loves being around. He loves the career that he had. One of the best, like, strikeout plus walk guys ever.
Yep. Yeah. Strikeout to walk ratio guys. Comparative to his era, of course. You gotta love Fergie Jenkins, and I hope he'll be there for the second Canadian player to be inducted. I think Jenkins got inducted in like 1990 or 1991. So this is going to be 30 years coming. So that'll be cool. All right.
By the way, just a note on Larry Walker. He is one of 20 players of all time with at least 6,000 career plate appearances to have a 300, 400, 500 career slash line.
Yeah, and I bet the company is insane. It's like Babe Ruth, Ted Williams.
You want me to just read off everyone?
Go ahead.
Babe Ruth, Manny Ramirez, Jimmy Fox, Frank Thomas, Ted Williams, Mel Ott, Lou Gehrig, Stan Musial, Chipper Jones, the aforementioned Larry Walker, Todd Helton, who should also be in, Hank Greenberg, Joey Votto, Edgar Martinez, Rogers Hornsby, Harry Hellman, Tris Speaker, Ty Cobb, Dan Brothers, and Ed Delahanty.
Yep. Yeah, by the way, Can we talk about how infuriating it's going to be when Joey Votto's up for the Hall of Fame and people just talk about his hits and home runs?
Probably, yeah.
It's going to be.
I don't know. I would like to think that we've progressed by then because, I mean, I don't know when Votto's retiring. I can't imagine it's this season.
Yeah.
But then we'd have to wait another 5 years.
Yeah, because if he retires at 40, that's, I think, 2024. And then he would be next eligible in 2029. So
yeah.
I hope in 8 years we can get beyond the hits and home runs.
I mean, I would hope so because I mean you need to comprehend 1,200 career walks. That's a lot, and that's not even gonna be the end of it at all.
All I can get into is him leading the league in on base percentage 7 times.
Yeah.
Like imagine if someone had 7 batting titles, that would be automatic.
And now he's like having a career slugging percentage season at age 37.
Right.
By the way, speaking of Canadians, like Joey Votto.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He'd probably be the third guy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Ryan Dempster was able to make it in.
You don't think so?
Or Justin
Morneau.
Justin Morneau. Yeah, he's Canadian.
Yeah.
It's always funny just finding out a guy's
Canadian.
A guy's Canadian. You just never think it would have happened like that. But yeah, Larry Walker, definitely one of the more underrated guys to walk the stage. And lastly, Ted Simmons, who got in via veterans, or not vet.
Yes, it was Veterans Committee.
Veterans Committee. One of the better catchers, kind of an overlooked catcher, and was able to do the job for 20 years. Let's get into.
How about a 348 career OBP as a catcher? Especially when you played in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, the least offensive era, of the live ball era, pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look at those career ranks. What percent of his games did he play at catcher? I need to find that out.
So he played 2,456 games, and if you go to the standard fielding.
Okay, he played
1771 at catcher, so around 70% of his games were at catcher.
Cool. So 9,000 career plate appearances.
Yeah.
Let's see, 70% of your games as a catcher.
Yeah, you look at all the stats, and I mean, yeah, he definitely was overlooked when it was just the regular committee. He had a 118 career OPS plus. I mean, that's pretty rare for a catcher. Over 2,400 hits from him as well. 483 doubles, and obviously we weren't around to see Ted Simmons play, but so you don't exactly know what the defense was, but his defensive wins above replacement was 5.2.
Chris, can you get the button out?
Oh, all right. Let's take a look. This is an only player.
Hall of Famer to be Ted Simmons is the only player in baseball history. I should say the only catcher in baseball history to have 9,000 plus plate appearances, 70% of his games played as a catcher, and a 345 or higher on base percentage.
How about that?
Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Gotta love seeing one of those lists on StatHead.
Yeah, gotta love seeing that. Gotta love a single column stat head.
It's so satisfying. Let's go.
But yeah, Ted Simmons, he'll be walking. I did see an article. I passed over. Unfortunately, a lot of the times I just read headlines. But apparently, he's a very good orator, and he makes good on speeches. But yeah, let's look that up. Ted Simmons. Ted Simmons, speech. I don't know if it's in the news.
Well, I guess we'll see it on Wednesday.
MLB.com. Simmons' Hall of Fame speech, long time in the making. From MLB.com. So maybe it's not.
Oh, sure. I mean,
this is from John Morosi. We can read a couple stanzas.
I have another stat that I'm looking at for Ted Simmons.
Once a Hall of Fame inductee beats the extraordinary odds to earn a place in Cooperstown, the next daunting task awaits: the speech. For Ted Simmons, Wednesday's induction ceremony would appear to present a unique challenge, and not because of any reticence I believe is the word, to speak before a large crowd. On the contrary, Simmons is one of the most eloquent and detailed orators in recent baseball memory. All right. So yeah, those are the 4 guys that are heading in. We learned a lot about Ted Simmons.
We did. Ted Simmons,
here.
very much deserving.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Glad he made it in.
Yeah, especially catcher is not a position where you necessarily have to get a lot more wins above replacement because it's just hard. It's just a hard position to get a lot of wins above replacement in. So yeah, he definitely.
I'm very excited for the Today's Game era committee election next year because I feel like we can do a really good breakdown of that where no one else would be able to, or not a lot of other people would be able to do so.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be some names. That's in 2022, right?
It's crazy how those elections never get any coverage. No one really cares. The BBWA election gets covered for 2 months leading up to that big moment. The other ones are yeah, by the way, we're electing some people to the Hall of Fame tonight.
Yeah.
You can stop by if you want. You can tune in. It'll be on MLB Network.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple extra guys walking on that stage.
They'll get the same treatment as the guys that go in 2 months. You can check out. Yeah.
Yeah. They have the same length of speech. You know. You'll be like, who is this guy? Yeah. And you'll be, and then he'll say, I am Harold Baines.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's what it is. But yeah, those committees are there for good reason, but sometimes it's just not very good. All right. So in other news, in current baseball news, outside of the Hall of Fame inductions that are going to be happening on Wednesday, the American League wild card race, there's 4 games within the spot. The Yankees are only a half game up on the Red Sox for the home field advantage for that wild card game, so it's heating up. So what should we get into? Let's start off. Who do you think has the best chance out of the outside of the wild card playoff picture as it is now to steal a spot in that wild card race?
I have to say Toronto. That's just pretty, generalized. They've been putting together a really nice rotation this year with Ryu, Robbie Ray, Steven Matz, lefty power. And then also Alek Manoah, who's been struggling as of late, but as a rookie this year, that's a guy who should be getting Rookie of the Year votes. He's in their rotation. And then, that's been, I think, one of the biggest general improvements in baseball has been the Blue Jays rotation.
Right, yeah. I was not optimistic about them heading into the season, but
we all know about their offense. That's no secret. The bullpen has regressed a bit from last year. A lot of guys definitely did benefit from that 60-game season. Jordan Romano, Rafael Dolis, they had great 2020s, and Romano has still been pretty good this year, but hasn't exactly been the same this year. And Dolis, same thing. And let's not forget, this is a team that lost Kirby Yates very early in the season due to Tommy John surgery.
Right.
This bullpen has had some adversity. So
and Merriweather.
And Julian Merriweather, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
That guy could be their closer right now.
Yeah, very well could be. They could be in a little bit of a different situation if they had those 2 guys back in their bullpen. But yeah, they've been kind of hovering around that wild card spot, and I would agree with Toronto in that they have the best shot. Currently, Seattle is 3 out. Toronto and Oakland are 4 out. You gotta hate the momentum that the A's are having right now.
Yeah.
They just haven't really been right since the Chris Bassett injury. I don't know if it's entirely because of that, or just bad timing in which that happened. But yeah, you don't like to see the A's momentum right now. Seattle's momentum is pretty good, but I don't know about the depth of that roster. I think Toronto is just more meant for playoff baseball and September baseball.
The Mariners did just extend Scott Service and
Jerry
Dipoto, which I like those moves. I think Scott Service made me eat my words earlier this year.
Yeah,
I was wrong about that 110%. I will admit that. And you know what? They're keeping their guy around, so I definitely think that's the right move.
Right.
But
yes, Service has done a decent job. Jerry DiPoto's interesting. He's been with the Mariners for 7 years. He does get praised a lot, and he should get praised for this farm system he's built, because isn't that ranked like top like 3 in all of baseball?
Yeah, it's definitely top 3. The
So-
Mariners 2021 will not be their peak.
Yeah.
In this run.
But if they for some reason are unable to make the playoffs in like the next 3 years, then like those guys shouldn't be in. But
yeah,
obviously I think their contracts don't even extend beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way like manager and general.
You
manager
don't sign
contracts.
managers to lifetime deals.
Yeah, you don't.
It's just not a good move.
The Mariners are interesting, but they just don't look like a playoff type roster. The Blue Jays fit that mantra a little more.
Yeah.
But
I think the Blue Jays have the best chance of doing damage in the playoffs, not just getting there.
Right, especially with that lineup. And if you have a healthy Springer, that's going to make some changes.
Yeah, like that team. That's a team that you could look at out of the wild card game and say, hey, this team could give that number 1 seed a run for their money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like the same vibe we got from the 2019 Nationals. They won that wild card game, and a lot of people were writing them off because they were facing the Dodgers, but it was like, hey, like this team could do it.
Yeah.
Like that's the sense that I feel like we could get from the Blue Jays coming out of a wild card game.
Right, because you got Ray, Barrios, Ryu, and then you have a very, very good lineup.
Yeah.
To go with that, so that could be somewhat dangerous in a 5-game series. Anything can be a little dangerous in a 5-game series, but especially Toronto. What percentage chance would you say that the Red Sox or Yankees get taken over in that wild card spot?
I would say like 30%.
30%.
I don't think it's super high, but I wouldn't count it out.
Yeah, the way
the Red Sox are, they're overcoming a lot right now. They have 11 guys on the COVID list. The Yankees just lost a series to Baltimore. So they're both not in the greatest of shapes, but, there's still a lot of season left, and I still think that they can hit their strides in the next month. But
right.
I definitely wouldn't count out a team like Toronto or even Seattle or maybe even Oakland taking over.
Actually, let me look at that.
Seattle might have a better shot at the division than the wild card if you really think about it.
Right, because they're 3.5 out in
4.5.
4.5 out in the division, and there's
3 out in the wild
not
card.
as many teams in the way. I'm looking at strength of schedule here. Nothing popping out too much. I'd say there's like a 20% chance of Red Sox or Yankees being taken over. The Red Sox have been encouraging lately in terms of they have a very, very depleted roster, but they were able to salvage that split against Tampa Bay and win a series against Cleveland. It's not a great team, but they were able to win a decent series there. So I'm pretty encouraged by the Red Sox and Yankees able to do it, but there's definitely an outside chance with the Blue Jays or even like Mariners, maybe not the A's, but you never know. You never know with the A's. Like we said earlier, they just kind of stick around a lot. All right. Do we want to get into players to highlight?
Let's do it.
All right, so now for our Monday, September 6th, 2021 edition of...
How about that?
So who do you got for us today?
Today I am talking about a guy from a team that we didn't do for a while, and now we've done multiple players on that team. Jonathan VR, who signed a 1-year deal, one of the better 1-year deals in recent memory from what he's done this season. Since August 21st, he is slashing 440, 491, 740 for a 1231 OPS. He is top 5 in the entire quadruple slash line over that timeline, and his 515 WOBA and 231 weighted runs created plus both lead the majors. This year as a whole, he has career highs in slugging percentage, WOBA, weighted runs created plus, expected batting average, expected slugging, expected WOBA, and most importantly, in meatball swing percentage.
Yes.
His barrel rate has gone up 7.4% from where it was last year. That is the 5th highest increase in Major League Baseball. And going back to the stretch in particular, his strikeout rate before August 21st was 25.3, And since August 21st, it is 18.2%. It's gone down 7% during this stretch. He's putting the ball in play a lot more. And it's interesting because during this stretch where he's hitting 440 with a 1231 OPS, his average exit velocity is only 87 miles an hour, which is not that high for someone that's hitting that well. But he still has the 6th best expected batting average among the 142 batters who have seen at least 200 pitches in that time span. So he's putting the ball in the right place. He's driving the ball when he needs to. And that has been the keys behind Jonathan VR's success lately.
Yeah, Jonathan VR.
How about that?
Yeah, second Met. After they were the last team to get a how about that. My how about that is, I love to do it, I hate to do it, but it's another ARR comeback special. It's another one of your slightly alarming from previous months. Matt Chapman, he's kind of turned it around. In his last 22 games, he is hitting at 288 with an 1135 OPS. In this span, he ranks 3rd in slugging, 3rd in OPS, and 2nd in home runs with 10. And before the span, his barrel rate was 11.0%, and in this span, his barrel rate is 27.7%. And also in this span, out of 296 hitters with 25 plus batted balls, his barrel rate is the highest. So Matt Chapman, getting those barrels, getting that launch angle up, hitting hard hit fly balls, and getting
How about that?
and an ARR comeback special.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants, putting suckers in fear.
So now we go from the highs to lows, highlighting players or subjects that have been underperforming. Now for our Monday, September 6th, 2021 edition of
Slightly alarming.
Who do you got for us?
We have the second straight show where your How About That and my Slightly Alarming are on the same team.
Ah,
Because let's not forget what position the A's are in right now. They've struggled lately. They just got swept by Toronto. And a big culprit of their failures recently has been Lou Trevino,
yep.
who has been mightily struggling. He has given up a run in each of his last 5 appearances. And in that time, he has pitched 3 2/3 innings with 13 earned runs against. That is an ERA of 31.91.
Oh my god.
A 31.91 ERA. And among the 526 pitchers who have thrown at least one pitch since in this time frame, Trevino's 31.91 ERA ranks 7th worst. That's right with people that have thrown like a third of an inning and given up like 2 runs.
Yep.
That's who he's there with. So, in for context, no one else in the bottom 16 in ERA has appeared in more than 3 games, and he's appeared in 5 games in that span. So, he has been consistently bad every single time, and like historically bad.
Yep.
In this time, Trevino has allowed 5 walks, 2 home runs, and hit 3 batters. It is the first 5-game stretch in Major League history where a pitcher has thrown less than 4 innings, allowed 13 plus earned runs, and hit at least 3 batters.
Wow. So Lou Trevino.
Slightly alarming.
And some people may say that like this is a small sample size and I can't really be pondering this much, but it's a small sample size because Lou Trevino made it as such.
Yeah.
He's only made it out of the inning he started once in the last 5 games.
Yeah, it's 4 innings because he's not completing innings.
Let's not forget, it's 5 appearances and 3 2/3 innings pitched.
Right. Yeah, that's not ideal for especially what they hoped was his closer. So my slightly alarming, this hasn't happened before. I'm doing a subject and your slightly alarming is part of my subject.
Nice.
I'm talking about A's pitching, and it's almost a frozone, but I did A's starting pitching, like the second episode of the year, but this is A's pitching as a whole, so it is not a frozone. Although I mean maybe the starters can go in the frozone, but it's not exactly a frozone. And yeah, my how about that and slightly alarming coming from the same team. So the A's pitching in their last 20 games. Their team ERA is 5.70, which is 3rd worst in Major League Baseball. And in this span, their starter ERA is 5.64, which is 25th in Major League Baseball. And their bullpen ERA is 5.79, which is worst in Major League Baseball. This is a team that prides themselves on what relievers they have, but in their last 20 games, worst reliever ERA in baseball. Also in their last 20 games, they've allowed the most home runs in baseball with 41 in 20 games, with the team with the second most home runs allowed having only 35 home runs allowed. So they're 6 ahead. And they have also allowed 2.2 home runs per 9, which is the highest rate in baseball. Also, their home runs per 9 is more than double in this span than it was before this span. Along with that, in this span, they have the most blown saves in baseball with 7. Kind of makes sense given they have the worst reliever ERA. And to break down individually, Sean Manaea, 6.86 ERA, 7.02 FIP, and 3.4 home runs per 9 in 21 innings in this span. James Caprillion, 7.07 ERA, 8.17 FIP, and 3.9 home runs per 9 in 14 innings pitched in this span. Cole Irvin had a rough start yesterday. He's got a 9 ERA, 8.92 FIP, and 3.4 home runs per 9 in 16 innings in this 20-game span from the A's. And out of the bullpen, Sergio Romo, 5.87 ERA, 5.77 FIP, and 2 home runs allowed in 7 2/3 innings pitched. And the aforementioned Lou Trevino, obviously the span is worse when you isolate it a little more, but in this 20-game span by the A's, in 6 2/3 innings pitched, he has allowed 13 earned runs, walked 6 batters while striking out just 5. So the A's pitching staff, a large reason that they are crawling out of the wild card race, and they're getting
Slightly alarming.
All right, so now it's time for a preview of the week ahead. We have a lot of day games today, so a lot of the games we're going to be talking about are ongoing as it's being released. But a preview of the week ahead, series to watch. Haven't really looked much at it. I mean, also, so for an AL West race and just baseball-wise, whenever the Astros and Mariners have played this year, it seems to be a very good matchup. So I would keep an eye out on them, Astros and Mariners. I don't know how many games.
3.
They will be playing 3 games, so that should be a good matchup. Keep an eye out for that, because if the Mariners find a way to sweep, then they are 1.5 out in the American League West, so that should be interesting. And then a wild card, I would say watch Red Sox Rays. Red Sox are at home, maybe getting some players back from the COVID IL. I would assume Kike Hernandez is coming back soon, and maybe Christian Arroyo. So maybe they'll be back for some of the Rays series. That should be a 3-game series.
It is.
Yeah, that's gonna be a 3-game series. Today got a good pitching matchup. Tuesday, Erod versus Drew Rasmussen, and Wednesday we have TBD versus Shane McClanahan. So yeah, that's all I have for series to watch. So what do you got for the day-by-day matchups?
So tonight we have a pretty good matchup in the Bronx. Hyun-Jin Ryu going against Jameson Taillon. You have Ryan Yarbrough versus Chris Sale in Red Sox Rays, like you mentioned, pair of lefties going up against each other. You have Sonny Gray facing Justin Steele at Wrigley in Reds Cubs. Justin Steele, very underrated for the Cubs. Also in Giants Rockies at Coors, Kevin Gausman versus Kyle Freeland. Freeland has been much better lately. Also, you have Max Scherzer going in St. Louis tonight for the Dodgers against the Cardinals. You have Bailey Ober, who's been pitching a lot better lately, going for the Twins against the Guardians. That should be an interesting one. You have Yusei Kikuchi versus Lance McCullers Jr. going against each other in Mariners Astros in Houston. Matchup of the night comes from Brewers and Phillies in Milwaukee. Zach Wheeler versus Brandon Woodruff. That's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah.
2 of the best pitchers in the National League, no doubt. So then on Tuesday you have Aaron Savale going for the Guardians against the Twins. You have Drew Rasmussen going for the Rays against Eduardo Rodriguez for the Red Sox. You have Steven Matz and Garrett Cole going against each other. That is a good one. Probably matchup of the night.
Yeah.
That's definitely matchup of the night. I did not mean to say it there. It kind of just came out. Steven Matz versus Garrett Cole in matchup of the night. Blue Jays Yankees on Tuesday. Max Fried will be going for the Braves against the Nationals. Wade Miley will be going for the Reds against the Cubs. Aaron Nola will be going for the Phillies against the Brewers. You have Logan Gilbert and Jake Odorizzi going against each other in Mariners Astros. Logan Webb going for the Giants in Giants Rockies. You have James Caprillion going for the A's against the White Sox, and Blake Snell going for the Padres against the Angels. Once again, matchup of the night comes from Blue Jays Yankees, Steven Matz, Garrett Cole. So then on Wednesday, you have Shane McClanahan going for the Rays, as Chris mentioned. You have Tyler Anderson versus Jose Urquidy in Mariners Astros. You have Anthony DeSclafani going for the Giants against the Rockies. You have Tristan McKenzie going for the Guardians against the Twins. You have Sandy Alcantara going for the Marlins against the Mets. You have Alek Manoah going for the Blue Jays against the Yankees. You have Adam Wainwright going for the Cardinals against the Dodgers. Yu Darvish going against the Angels for the Padres. Dallas Keuchel versus Frankie Montas and White Sox A's. Matchup of the night once again comes from Phillies Brewers. Kyle Gibson versus Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, Kyle Gibson actually has not regressed as much as I would have thought. He's been all right with the Phillies, but I don't know. The Phillies have been like a roller coaster ride, as they always are. All right, well, that does it for the first Above Replacement Radio from Springfield since May. So that's a good sign. All right. So we hope you enjoyed this one. If you're listening, that doesn't matter. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. And we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on Thursday, hopefully from different recording equipment, where we're talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball. Once again, see you then.
This conversation is over.